back to Trail Map. Excited to share this week's episode with you with Alan Draper, who's the founder and CEO of 4A Coffee, which is a coffee roaster in Newton, Mass. We're going to be doing something a little different this week, though. I'm excited about. We're actually going to be releasing 2 episodes. One is the Trail Map interview with Alan in the format that you're used to. And then the second will be a bonus episode called Trail Mix, where we actually get a chance to visit Alan at the coffee roaster, learn a bit about the process, and spend the day with him. So I hope you enjoy the 2 episodes. Please share feedback with us. We're thinking about Trail Mix as a fun way to do stories about people, getting to know people better, and probably we'll also include some people that are doing smaller projects. Maybe they aren't like their main job, but we think the projects are inspiring and that you might enjoy them. So watch out for the bonus content as it comes out. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode with Alan. Hope you enjoy. Hey, how are you?
Hey, let's just start. No preamble. We're just going right into it.
No preamble. Just welcome to our living room.
That's right.
Seems like all the hot podcasts are doing this soft intro.
Yeah. And we want to be hot.
We are hot. Well, yesterday was really fun. I went to 4A Coffee in Newton, Mass.
Yeah. How was it?
It was, I feel like I have something on my face. That's better.
It's your nose.
It's my nose. Yeah, it was really cool. Oh, shit. Seeing that my upload's only at 53%. What is going on with my Wi-Fi?
Dude, I'm at 93, 97,
Yeah.
99, 93.
Yeah. I think it might be worth, is it worth me restarting my router?
Oh, geez. I mean, if that's what needs to be done, turning it off and turning it on again is still the leading IT action item.
It is. All right. I think we made it last. I mean, it's not like laggy with me, right now?
No, it looks honestly pristine. Like it usually looks worse than this. Maybe there's an inverse relationship.
All right. Let's just keep rolling.
All right. Keep all this. This is great stuff.
Yeah, this is, I'm sure people are just hanging on. There's for all our listeners, in the analytics of the podcast, there's like a graph that shows how long people listen before they shut it off.
Yeah.
So I expect that we'll have 100% listenership through these Wi-Fi questions.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking about this because somebody sent me a video about, how the internet works yesterday.
Yep.
I mean, I know how it works. It's a complex system of tubes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that. We're taught that Al Gore invented.
Yeah.
But just the way the algorithm works is it's like you need to provoke outrage in order to be shared and become viral.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think we're doing that enough. We need more outrage, Matt.
That's a good thing to aspire to. So
our society needs more outrage.
Yeah. Or they need more mundanity. Is that a word?
Yeah. Mundanosity.
Mundanosity.
We're bringing back the new mundanosity. Come here
for your daily dose of mundanosity.
Vintage
new name.
VM.
Anyway, I went to 4A Coffee yesterday at Newton, and I in a show where we encourage people to take risks and do the things that are interesting to them. I went and recorded myself talking to Alan, learning about the coffee roasting process. And I mean, I guess spoiler alert. Today our guest is Alan, who's the founder of 4A Coffee, which I first got to know because they had a cafe in Coolidge Corner.
Where's that?
That's where we live. Sorry.
You live in Coolidge Corner?
Yeah.
I didn't know that this whole time. That's your neighborhood?
Really? That's our neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Sorry. I didn't know that.
No, it's okay. I don't know your neighborhood's name.
Doesn't really have a name.
Okay. Well, it's actually a fun time of year in Coolidge Corner because the marathon goes right through our neighborhood. So the Boston Marathon. So that's on Monday.
Cool. Are you gonna watch? You're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go
So
outside with?
yeah, I'm taking the day off and I'm gonna go watch a lot of the marathon. Um, and I talked to Will about going to watch the marathon. My thing was like, oh, like it'd be fun to go watch the person who's like in first place, the leader, come through just to see like how fast they're running. And he's like, what time would that be at? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10. I'm not sure. I have to look at the schedule. And he's like, can we go a little later? He's like,
I have
I,
something.
he's like, I don't really, I like it better if maybe we go around 1 and then we can get some ice cream after we go. And I was like, but by that time, the runners are kind of slower. And he's like, Dad, they're still faster than I am. And I was like, okay, that's true. Maybe we could do both. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to go early. So
He's like, you can go if you really
yeah.
want to make
Um,
that a priority. I love that.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So excited for the conversation today. How are you doing? What's new with you?
Good, man. I just love, I'm a simple man. I'm a simple dog. I love the springtime. It's so beautiful. The trees coming to life. I saw somebody sent me a James Vanderbeek video, post-mortem, R.I.P.,
R.I.P.
Talking about like, have you noticed that your New Year's resolutions are like kind of hard to keep? It's because you're doing them in January. Don't do them then.
Yeah.
Do them when things are coming to life. Like the
Yeah.
world comes to life in the springtime and it's beautiful. And like, it's a rebirth. It's
Yeah.
a spiritual rebirth. And so
There's a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Offset only by the drag of allergies.
Oof. Yeah. I don't know what I did. I didn't do anything to deserve it, but I'm having a great year this year, allergy wise.
Good.
I don't know why.
I was hoping that for you.
Thank you. How are you doing with that?
Fine. I've started taking Zyrtec, just because feels like the right thing to do. And my family all takes it, so why not?
Great. It's family.
Yeah.
It's the family medicine.
Family drug sponsored by Zyrtec.
That's right.
That'd be cool if we got by Zyrtec.
That would be sick. Flash the logo.
Yeah. Cool.
Just reading up on Alan a little bit here. Kazakhstan. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a really cool guy.
How'd you meet him?
By buying coffee from him. And then I reached out to him because I said, your business is so cool. Like, could I help you at all? And so I helped him. I ran a survey for 4A Coffee of all of their customers to help him get some insights.
Wow.
And then, I said, I'd love to have you on Trail Map. And he said, sure. So
nice.
Do you drink coffee these days?
Yeah.
Like 1 cup a day sort of thing?
My current thing is that I have a tiny mug. Do you remember the small mug? Yeah. The Moomin mug?
Yep.
And I do it in little cups. I don't even fill up that mug because I love the fresh out the pot temperature.
Yep.
And I guess it ends up being maybe like 1 or 2 cups. I haven't really been scientific about it.
Yep.
But if I do too much, I spin out and it makes me feel weird.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Alan's got the same thing too. Dude, we were doing some cupping yesterday of coffee, which is where the first thing that you do is you put the dry grounds in the cup, bring the cup close to your mouth, your nose, and you do
you know what? I
deep inhale.
You know what I did do? I think I did do this when I started working at Starbucks. They like trained me with this.
Oh yeah? I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
You should tell Alan that you worked at Starbucks. I think that'll be interesting. Then you pour hot water over the grounds and you let it steep for 4 minutes. And so it's just a cup full of grounds. And then you push the grounds out of the way or scoop them out with a spoon. And then with 2 spoons, and then you bring it to your mouth and you do like a real slurp. So you get like this blast of olfactory and taste sensation. It's fun.
Hey guys.
Hey, Alan, how's it
Hey, how's
going?
it going?
Nice. So, Patrick, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks
Okay.
for doing it.
Yep.
I'm jealous that you guys already did a cupping and like hung out. I wish such are the limitations
Yeah.
of geography.
I think after Matt left, I think what I'm going to do is I'm trying to use my wonderful computer skills and set up a sign up. I think we're going to be doing cuppings a little bit more often. Just
Oh,
trying to figure out
awesome.
the time. So
And just before you got on, Matt was talking about you guys were doing that yesterday, and then it triggered a memory I had totally forgotten. I worked for Starbucks in 2007 in San Francisco, and I'm pretty sure I don't know if that term was used, but I think we did that. We did a cupping, which
yep,
is not you don't think of Starbucks as being like, but there was this whole training process that like,
there was. Yeah,
yeah,
I remember that. I've talked to Starbucks people. Yeah,
yeah,
they had some golden years where they were really trying to do their best, and
yeah, it's probably over. Yeah,
yeah,
Now
yeah.
it's just push a
It's
button.
automated. Yeah, it's automated. Yeah, I get it, because it is a lot of training
Yeah.
and, yeah.
in my day, we didn't push a button. We pulled a crank. Steaming the milk, though, I think I probably could still pull out a good latte if I needed to, if I close my eyes.
Yeah, you don't lose it. You really
Yeah,
don't, I don't think,
yeah.
unless you get old and decrepit.
I mean,
But,
I never learned the leaf or anything, but my consistency
oh,
was
yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Not many people. So I was down in, we opened a place in Newport called Boku and was training those young women, and, I was surprised at how long it does take. We just went through so much milk, and then after you've done that, for a few weeks, then they still have to take orders, and they still don't quite have it sometimes. You get that rare guy who's got that kinda, perfect sense of where his fingers are and is very good at that, like, people who can paint and draw can usually,
Yeah.
but even then, it's a mixture of a couple of things, so it took me a long time, probably several months before I got it down way back, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
It's nice.
that aspect is definitely an art, and I know. I mean, I was just reading up on you a little bit. This talking about just the roasting process as an
Mhm,
art that takes a long time.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, which is makes it hard to train anybody because it's a commitment. The the mechanics of it are pretty simple, but it's knowing what you're trying to get out of the coffee that you're roasting and kind of really having an acquaintance with it, like a good acquaintance with it. So, but I'm sure there are ways to train someone on particular coffees, and they'll get it pretty close. So, like I said, the mechanics are pretty simple, but it's the artistry that's a little bit more difficult to teach. Yeah, not that
Yeah,
I'm an artist, but more like the craftsmanship of it. Yeah.
that's it. It's
Uh
I don't mean to be hijacking the whole thing at the
huh.
beginning here, but I just
No.
the distinction between art and craft. I've had so many conversations about that. I
Hmm.
think it's sort of in a way, it's like doesn't really mean much. But I don't. You don't think of yourself as an artist, really?
Uh, no, I don't. I can't say I do. There's craftsmanship, there's knowledge. Um, I guess what would be an artist? Someone who has a vision and can tease something that wasn't done before from that vision. Um, no, I
Well,
can't.
what
I can't
about,
go
I
that
mean,
far. I can't. Yeah.
creativity is a big
Hmm.
part of what you do,
Yeah.
right?
Uh, what I'm trying to do is get a certain profile out of a coffee, given all the things going around me and certain other conditions. And I try to nail it, but usually it's just precision. It's really caring and not automating it
Yeah.
because that's the way that you would take care of all that. But I think when you automate it, you're losing something because like we talked about yesterday, you can always be a few seconds off where you want to be because of changes in environmental conditions
Uh-huh.
and changes in the age of the bean and the moisture level. I mean, there are some companies who have everything dialed in, like a Starbucks, but even companies that are smaller than Starbucks have almost everything dialed in. But I still don't think you're going to get that. For example, there's a famous Starbucks, and I hate to be talking about Starbucks so much. I'm pretty neutral about Starbucks, to be honest. But they had that Pike's blend,
Mhm.
and there was a time when I didn't even have a place to use my sample roaster, which is what I usually do when I don't have a big roaster. This was when I took the hiatus, and I was buying that a lot because I just wanted to see what was going on, and it was cheap. But I thought I would get a little bit more consistency out of what they were doing. I thought, but there were times when I said, "Huh, this is a little bit different from last time,"
Hmm.
and so not even they can get it perfectly because obviously, too, when you're sourcing from an origin, say like Guatemala, uh, now Guatemala also uses blends when they ship coffee. So um, on the farm, they'll have several different varietals of coffee. They'll have a say a Caturra, Catuai. They'll have other New World blends on their farm, and those blends are ripening at different. Those varietals are ripening at different times, and when they're harvesting, they're obviously trying to go through the fields and the trees and pick the ripest berries, and those are from different varietals. And um, even though they might have a similar growing season, a similar development time, there's going to be some variance. And so there's never a way to perfectly reproduce what you've done all the time. So
Yeah.
maybe there's some artistry in that, but
I
yeah,
mean, there's definite comparisons to wine and what you were just talking about. I mean, you
yeah,
can't B compare coffee in the same way you can
yeah,
wine.
yeah,
We were
yeah,
talking yesterday, though, Pat, about the relative complexity, and there's like significantly more flavor compounds and stuff going on in coffee than there is in wine.
Oh,
hmm
really?
Yeah, so there's a lot of complexity there. So, I guess Alan, just to ground us in like your background. So you started, well, I think, and this is largely drawn from the 4A website, but like you started your coffee journey in Europe, right? And you opened your first 4A coffee in Kazakhstan in 2005. Is that right?
yep,
So I'm
yeah,
wondering,
yeah.
how did that happen?
2004, I believe. Yeah, yeah,
2004.
somewhere around there. Yeah, yeah.
So how did that happen?
Well, I had always been on a teaching track. I had planned on becoming a high school teacher and a wrestling coach. That was, but I had always had this kind of wanderlust that like it consumed me all the time, and I just so fascinated by other cultures and people. And I had my father who passed when I was young. Before he passed, he worked for a European airline called Sabina, and he didn't have a huge salary. We grew up in Drake, so not that Drake doesn't have a high upper middle class, but he made an average salary. But one thing he was able to do was get free flights. That was back in the day when flying was still a luxury and a joy. So he got to take us to Europe and a few other places. And anyway, I had always wanted to live abroad, spend some time abroad, and I uh, I always approach this topic in a circuitous way. I don't know why. It's not linear, but I had wanted to live abroad and experience life abroad, and I'd become fascinated with Russia and the ex-Soviet Union. And I went into a library in my in Lowell, the Lowell Public Library at the time. You could really there was no internet, so I just picked out books that could teach you Russian, and so I became a little bit consumed with it. And I said, "Wait a minute, I actually have to go there if I really want to speak it." So I went in the early '90s and was completely blown away. They call it the Wild '90s in Russia. It's when the Soviet Union collapsed and it was a period of chaos and excitement and misery and really wild time. To be an American there, you were overappreciated, let's put it that way. If a young American, the first city I went to was called Chelyabinsk, and it was closed up until very recently. So they had no foreigners in that city. So I kind of had a wild time that always stuck with me, a special time. It was exciting. And I said, I have to get back there. And at the same time, I had met George Howell. I had been to his shop, and I have to, put him down as a major influence, what he was doing. And I said, would it work if I learned about this business and took this over there? And so that's kind of what I set out to do. In the meantime, I had met some Kazakh people from Kazakhstan, and I told them about my plan, and I thought it would be great to do that there because some of these countries like Russia and Ukraine and Kazakhstan were actually developing rapidly. Kazakhstan in particular due to oil and gas and the various precious metals that they still have. So they were experiencing a boom and they were looking for Western products. So something in my mind said, I got to do this there. So we went out there, met with a few investors, and we brought all our equipment from the U.S. We brought a container, including 2 kiosks that we ended up setting out outside their grocery stores. That's how we actually started. But I brought everything: the espressos machines, the cups, everything from A to Z. We shipped over there, and that was quite an adventure. It took 6 months in the end.
Wow.
We lost the original site that we wanted to start our cafe at. It had gotten taken over. In the meantime, we were desperately trying to find other sites. Finally, the shipping container came in, and a lot of stuff was damaged. Stuff was missing. It was really a fiasco. I was ready to call it quits, but we had all this equipment, including a roaster. So we now we're desperate to find a place just to do the roaster. We had the kiosks, that was fine. And we found this old dilapidated building and we set up the roaster. And we got it all set up, all ready to go. And I said, I don't know if this is even a place where it's proper to be doing anything that people are going to consume. So luckily at that moment, there was a spot that was a convenience store on the central kind of thoroughfare where there's no cars, almost like a Newbury Street type of place. And it had become available. So
This
we
is
said,
in
let's do
Kazakhstan?
this. Yeah, we're in Kazakhstan. Yeah. We're in Almaty. So we said, we got to do it. And it was really this old little convenience store. And we gutted it. We blew out the windows. We repaved the walkway. We did everything. It took a few months. Out there, labor is much cheaper. So a project like that over here would have probably been prohibitive. But over there, we're just under the gun money-wise. We got it done. We created a cafe. We put the roaster. It was an L12, so that means it could roast 25 pounds at a time. So it was a nice little perfect size roaster for that spot. We had 47 seats. We had outdoor, and it became kind of a cool expat type of cafe. People were kind of excited to have something Western, and also that was real. It wasn't cookie cutter. We designed it ourselves, and we ended up when we got that roaster in there. It was a building that was 9 stories high. They call them Khrushchev. And they're named after Khrushchev, who built all these buildings. They're almost all the same. They're ugly as hell. But we had to shoot from our roaster a stack all the way 9 stories high. And we got these old Soviet fans.
For exhaust.
Yeah, for exhaust. And yeah, we got it done. And luckily, there are some people over there who are so resourceful. And we got it done. And we ran that for about 9 years. Had 3 kids. They're getting older. So we decided it was time to move back. They needed proper schooling. Almaty was having certain issues at the time. I thought the environment was getting very polluted. It's located in a basin surrounded by mountains pretty much. So the air quality was getting very poor. And, we did our thing. Now it's been taken over by a Dutch company, a man who I know, and he's doing very well there. So
the shop is
Yeah.
still a coffee shop.
Yeah, it's a different coffee shop, but
Okay.
yeah, and he redesigned it a little bit, but yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
The pictures just from your website the vibe looks impeccable.
Yeah, it was a special place. It was tough to leave, but it was time to leave. it was cool. It was cool. It was real. Yeah, we enjoyed it, and we were kind of pioneering, so it was nice. So then we
Yeah,
came back to Brookline, and I think you remember what that was all about. Yeah.
I'm curious though. What was the coffee culture like in Almaty before you opened 4A? Was
Great
there anything
question.
like it?
Yeah, great question. I could tell you a million stories, but their tea culture, obviously. But as we saw with the Russians, and I'm talking about Russia proper. Russia is a entirely different country from Kazakhstan, as you know. But
Yeah.
Russia was noted as being the biggest tea drinkers, more tea drunk by them per capita than anywhere else in the world, apparently.
Didn't know that.
I can't, give you a cite for that statistic, but it was something that's been bandied about in our world, our coffee world. So, but what happened after the Soviet Union fell, especially in the 2000s, is Russia became major coffee drinkers. So they were
Yeah.
the fastest growing coffee market. And now places like Ukraine, Eastern Europe, the Baltic countries, and even Kazakhstan, which has a very diverse population, they were kind of in the same group. And when I got there, they had Lavazza, they had Ili, they had coffee, and they actually did have one coffee shop, but nobody was roasting.
Yeah.
So we thought we could bring coffee there, and it could be much fresher. But what I did see that was common was this packets that everyone drank. They sold them in every store, and it was called Mac Coffee, and it had an American Eagle on the packet, and it was called 3-in-1. And I looked at the ingredients, and the biggest ingredient was the sugar,
Mm.
and then there was the milk product, which was a combination of like fats and solids. I don't know what it
Like
was.
an
It was
instant
powdered
coffee?
milk,
You don't want
and
you don't want milk product.
and so when we first got there, actually had people local scoff at me. They said American coffee is awful. It's just terrible. How can you sell American coffee? I said, Mac coffee is not American coffee. Don't
Mhm.
worry. This is, and actually, this coffee is not from America. I just happen to be American, but the conceptions were out there. The misconceptions were out there. So it was kind of fun dealing with a lot of that. You
Was there
know,
any was there any spillover from like Turkish coffee tea culture, or like, I mean, you're pretty close to China over there, not to be a city,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
Yeah, excellent question. Yeah, so probably most people, even today, a lot of people in the ex-Soviet Union, in that part of the world, make coffee Turkish style or Turkish coffee. Of course, there's a reason for that. All you need is one piece of equipment, and nothing else. But I once had a guy come in. He was Armenian. There are a lot of Armenians in Kazakhstan as well. Well, there's a considerable number. And he was in our shop and he said, Alan, this is not coffee. You come up to my apartment, I'll show you coffee. And I said, okay. He said, okay, I'm up. Let's do this. So he brings me up to his coffee. He's puttering around. I see him pull out the jezve, and he's get going, and he's doing his thing, and I can smell something, and it doesn't smell great. And he comes over, he pours the coffee very, very deliberately, very carefully, and he says, "You try this," and put it to my lips. And oh my god, it tasted like rotten wood. And I said, "Okay, all right, this is a learning moment for me." I said this to him. And I think we all have this cultural, maybe you could call it baggage, or where we have these cultural notions where what we think of as something has to be that way. So I learned a lesson, and it was early on when I started there, just to take everything in stride. And but yeah, it was a big success. We had a degree of distribution there. We were selling our coffee to restaurants and other different cafes and so forth. And yeah, so it ended up being great. Hmm.
I feel like you know, the people that you intersect with when you're in the cafe business, who have opinions about what is coffee, what isn't coffee, like you see some real characters, right? I mean, for better or worse.
Yeah, I'm kind of unplugged from that world. When I first started, I was attending, certain things and events like the SCAA, as it was called back then, special, sorry, the Specialty Coffee Association of America. Now it's just called SCA, but they had events and they still have them. They had one last weekend in San Diego, but they're great. They've become a little overblown, and they're meant for people who are entering the industry mostly or are starting a new project. So I'm kind of unplugged, but a lot of coffee people are unplugged because we're kind of annoying. We all have our own ideas of how things should be. We're all extremely sensitive, extremely proprietary about what we do. So it doesn't lend itself to be this kind of group with a lot of camaraderie. Although there are roasting events where people get together and roast, but I think most of those events is people who are just starting out because roasters who've been doing it for a while aren't going. I should go because I could probably pick up a thing or two.
I mean, obviously, Boston is different than Almaty in probably many ways, but how is it different in ways that we maybe are not
Yeah.
immediately springing to mind?
I envy because in the 90s, I graduated from college in the early 90s, and I had actually always wanted to open a coffee shop. I saw it and I fell in love with that notion. I fell in love with coffee. It just wasn't in my cards for several years. But the people who got into the coffee business in the 90s, it was great because nobody knew anything about coffee.
Mhm.
Getting into it in the 2000s and the 2000 teens, everyone thought they knew everything about coffee. It just changed completely, and that's when Yelp came out. So I tell you, I did go a little crazy in that place. I said I'm going to be an owner operator. I'm going to be here. People can talk to me, and I did not know what I was getting into. Because not only did you have the heyday of Yelp, where people were being becoming these Yelp reviewers, and it was especially young people. And the other thing about so I didn't have that in Almaty. I had other issues. Usually, it was about price or the way we did service, but Brookline is a relatively affluent, and it's an affluent community, and it's very international. And you get a lot of people from places like California, where they're very food and lifestyle oriented. And so I did run into people who had their notions and their ideas of what coffee should be, how it should be roasted, and I had to hear that a lot. That was also the era of the pour over, which I consider myself an Xer. I think probably you guys are millennials,
Mhm.
like my nephew. And
Is that
the
over? Is that
pour.
era over?
I don't know. I don't know if it is, but it's over at least in cafes. I've had some foresight in my life. I have a lot of blind spots as well, but I just said to myself, because I'm an Xer, I grew up with the espresso experience, and the pour over and the cold brews came and hit me, just as I opened. And I had practiced pour overs, and I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this in a busy environment. There's just no way. And I said to myself, you know what? And my wife at the time, she was my partner. She agreed. I said, this is a great thing to do at home. Or if you're in Japan, um, but to run a coffee shop and actually to be successful financially, and it wasn't necessarily a financial choice, but you have to have some volume. And I just, at that time, I couldn't get the idea of doing the pour overs at scale in the moment and actually put on a good product and take care of everyone, give people the service I need. Because my experience at the same time too, as I was looking at other cafes, is I said, I like this pour over thing, but it's really choking up the experience for people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I always admired it, and I knew it had its place, but I couldn't fit it in to my mindset. And I did get a lot of grief for that. I did. People would harangue me all the time. How can you not do pour? And quite frankly, they judged you like, oh, he's an old guy. He doesn't know about pour overs yet. I'm like, no, I do. And so yeah, that was tough. That took a lot of years off my life.
I
The pour over thing.
I
Yeah.
think like we had an earlier episode with a chef in LA, um who makes ramen. He makes vegan
Yep.
ramen in LA.
Hmm.
And like um the hospitality business is a grind. It's like,
Hmm.
Unintended.
it's it's a lot of interactions.
Yeah.
You don't really get to choose who walks in your store. So and I know like you also like you ran Foray, you closed during the pandemic, uh,
Hmm.
but like you did that for a long time.
Yeah.
And then and now and we talk about this a bit during my visit, but like now you're running an e-commerce business, like
Hmm.
where people you're roasting beans, people
Hmm.
buy beans from you.
Hmm.
So it sounds like part of the reason you're doing that is because it was hard. The hospitality piece was hard.
Matt, you're absolutely right. There was a time when it was really grueling, and I came across this article. It was actually Yahoo News. You know, when someone's reading Yahoo News, they're probably a little bit older. I still have my mail. So, I had this news feed pop up and it said the 10 most stressful jobs. I said, okay, clickbait. I clicked on it. And one of them was barista. And I was like, of course. And people don't realize that unless they've done it, because it's so hard to get the coffee right. And I used to say, it's so easy to open a bad coffee shop. It's hard to have a good one. It's excruciatingly demanding to have an excellent one, because every cup needs the same amount of care. And you've got people standing over you, watching you, talking to you, asking you questions about your kids, asking you why you don't do this, how come you don't have that, and you're trying to make 20, 25 drinks that have different milks. And that was also the time when we went through all the alternative milks. So people were saying it was the alternative milk craze. We went from 90% soy, and then we went to oat, and then you couldn't get oat. And there was this major stress because all of a sudden that was the new it milk. And then all of a sudden that wasn't anymore. People were going to almond. And I look at my refrigerator, I've got all these milks. And I had one customer, and I don't know why I did this, but she would bring in her own milk that she wanted me to steam for her. We had people with, so one day my wife opens the refrigerator. She sees, open jars of milk. I've got soy, oat,
Whose milk
coconut,
is this?
almond, and we've got decaf. And I said, something's got to be reined in here. We have to rein this in because I just cannot function this way. And then, so yeah, it was extremely demanding. Anyone who's worked in a coffee shop will tell you that. And as you get older, you said, okay, I've been there, I've done that. Time to step back. But like Matt said, having an online e-commerce business is a completely different brain. And Matt's been kind of helping me out with suggestions and so forth, which have helped a lot.
Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
excited for you. I mean, I'm so
Hmm.
happy. I was a frequent customer of Foray, and the cafe version was sad when it shut down because honestly, I don't think like in our neighborhood, I don't think we've got great cafe options right now.
Yep.
Uh, and but it was so exciting when Foray opened back up with a roasted bean option.
Hey, how was the cupping, by the way? We didn't really
Yesterday.
I didn't really get the deets. Yeah. How Matt, how was it?
Yeah, it was incredible. So Alan set up an Ethiopia and a Honduras roast for me, and um, we did the smelling of the dry grounds, and then we did the liquid tasting, and Alan was really trying to be a good I can understand, like you mentioned earlier in the conversation that you thought about being a teacher, like
Hmm.
you clearly didn't want to lead me too much in
Yep.
terms of the tasting, but it was really cool to hear Alan talking about the flavor notes that emerged and stuff, because I think I could taste the complexity, but I couldn't put words to it necessarily. So
I,
it
I
took time.
remember I remember having that feeling when I was doing my Starbucks training. This is 20 years ago, but like that. I don't think I have a good nose. Like I'm not good at tasting wine. And then like I had this coffee passport where I was doing all the different,
Mhm.
types. And I just remember looking back at my coffee passport a few years later and like laughing out loud at how ridiculous some of my notes were. I was just like, this is the boldest one. I don't know. Like it was just, I didn't know what to say. My
Yeah.
wife, Mary, has a great nose,
Mm.
which, is a blessing and a curse for like when your house stinks in different ways. But like, she loves coffee. She loves coffee shops. She will, insist that she is the greatest lover of coffee shops in the world, and she has a very
Hmm.
specific thing that she wants. She's from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which I another unofficial statistic. I think they have the most coffee shops per capita, like in the universe.
It's funny your experience. Like there is a theory about women having a better sense of smell,
Mm.
and that might have to do with evolutionary principles. But I've been in scenarios. I did a course years ago, and there were two women, and one of them had actually never worked in coffee, and she was picking out certain things that I couldn't get. And I would actually say she had a better nose than I did. Um, and I just, and I've heard, people are super smellers, and people have very high perception. But, one of the things that you have to learn when you're evaluating, in particular coffee, is that whatever you perceive, it has to be somewhat in line with what other people are perceiving. And
Mhm.
that's called calibration. And because whatever you score a coffee, somebody in another part of the country or another part of the world is going to use that score
Mhm.
to give them an idea what the price of the coffee will be, whether they want the coffee. So, um, yeah. So having a wise sense of smell, I guess you would call it, or a balanced sense of smell is good too, because sometimes some of these super tasters or smellers, they can be so quirky because they're getting certain things, they're perceiving certain qualities in kind of in an a, a different way than the normal person. So they might perceive one thing more, and in that one flavor note might not have that big of a role as far as the whole cup is concerned. Yeah, it
Well,
can be a curse. It
I
can be
mean,
a
it's
curse. Yeah.
right. Like it's similar to in music or art. Like you can go down a rabbit hole chasing something that's really innovative or like gives you a particular response. But like if you're going to do a business, I mean, artists like to sometimes divorce themselves from the economics of it. But like
So true.
if you're trying to do business, like there has to be some level of like, I don't want to say lowest common denominator, but like universality to it where people,
Yes.
a
Yeah.
high percentage of people are going to be like, I can relate to that. I like that.
That was put very well. That's exactly what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
that runs across anything. When you've got someone who has such a particular sense of something, it might not reflect in the general population.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they might focus on defects. I think it was Picasso who said, "Never judge a work of art by its defects." And there are some people in the industry who will do that. They just can't handle a defect in coffee, and I tend to be a little bit more charitable because I look for other things like super flavors, unusual flavors,
Mhm.
large
What
flavors. Yeah.
what's a defect that you would overlook?
Matt and I talked about this yesterday, but when you're picking coffee, obviously off the tree, as much as the harvesters are instructed to pick only the ripest berries or the ripe berries, not overripe, not underripe, that doesn't always happen. They're paid by volume. And also it's very hard to do that. And there's a lot of sorting that goes on at origin, but it's not perfect. And so you get different moisture levels sometimes, different levels of ripeness. So that will create an imbalance. As far as a defect is concerned, there are several defects that pervade coffee. And That could be defects from insect damage, which used to be a lot more common than it is today. I almost never see it anymore, and that's a whole nother topic. Um, but defects as far as coffees not being at their right state of maturity, that wind up in the cup. We're talking about very high end coffees, expensive coffees. A lot of times, those coffees are just harvested, sorted, and processed impeccably. Uh, and and sometimes, most often, they're a single varietal, like the geisha varietal we talked about,
Mhm.
which is a prize varietal. It could be a pacamara on its own is a very beautiful varietal. If you get a single pacamara, some of the Kenya varietals on their own are just so beautiful, and that's why they appear without deflects. They're not defects. They're not blended with any other coffee. They're very impeccably harvested or picked and processed and dried and sorted, and that's what creates those really expensive coffees that it's very hard to get your hands on.
So as you're talking, I could listen to you talk about this forever because I think it's fascinating. How what's behind your commitment to coffee? Like, is there something about coffee? I mean, you clearly enjoy drinking it, but like, what's driving that?
Probably shame. You know, it's like I come from, I never was behind the scenes. I don't know what's wrong with me. I always put myself out there, and everyone knows it's me. So I'm very sensitive. And Matt, you've been very good with this. I'm very sensitive to people not liking my coffee. I don't know why. Maybe because I also need to earn a living. This isn't a labor. I mean, this isn't just a hobby, and it never was. And I was put in scenarios in Kazakhstan where you go way over budget, and so you are trying to make money. You don't want to lose any customers. You don't want to hear anything wrong. Everything has got to be perfect, and you paint yourself into a corner because you try to become a perfectionist, which no one can be, no one can accomplish. And so, yeah, I think even here, if I disappoint anyone, I feel it. I don't know why, but I definitely feel it. And yeah, probably a little bit of pride and shame mixed. So yeah, and also I love it when I get a good coffee. And you guys know, you reach a certain age, you're like, wow, this is kind of the best part of my day.
For real.
For real.
Yeah, I wish
Yeah.
we were talking about
Yeah.
how much coffee do we drink, and it's like I kind of wish just like all day could be coffee time, but if I
Yeah.
go more than 2 cups, I start to kind of spin out.
No.
Yeah.
I think
There's something. Yeah. Go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's interesting. Like, my generation, our generation, millennials, and then younger generations and older generations too, I think are drinking a lot less alcohol.
Yeah.
And so they're used, I think I remember growing up, like, when my dad, and my uncle would have like a cocktail together at 5 p.m., like on
Hmm.
vacation or whatever. And like, that was like a real highlight for them, that moment of
Yeah.
having a drink.
Yep.
It's interesting that like beverages are such like can be such a highlight of the day. And B, it's just interesting. Like, I think coffee consumption has, I would imagine, been pretty stable. Caffeine hasn't gotten the hit that alcohol has, just from like a health perspective. In fact, the opposite. Like, it's, there are a lot of people that believe that caffeine is a really good thing for your health. So,
Just
um,
whatever recent reporting, like the antioxidants or like
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. MIT from the early part of the century apparently did a lot of coffee research, and I always get feeds, and a lot of things that I get have to do with circulation, and contributing to the postponement of things like dementia and
yeah,
Alzheimer's.
yeah.
And But you're right. It's not something you can't tap that well constantly. Your best coffee is your first one. It's like there's something about sleeping all night, being in that fresh state of just your mind's just starting to wake up. You've got nothing in your stomach that needs to be metabolized to draw, and your brain has such clarity, and then that coffee just adds to it. and then the day goes downhill from there sometimes. But then you get at the end, you've got the glass of wine, and I don't know. I think if you have some balance, you can sandwich your day in between two great rituals. Although I
Yeah.
think probably the alcohol can get a hold of certain people, but I don't have a problem with alcohol, and I think if you know how to have a few drinks at night and not go nuts,
Yeah.
I've got my Italian landlord. He's 87, and he still comes in here. He walks in here with the cigarettes, and he tells me he still drinks a few glasses of wine at night. So what can you do?
Or a grappa.
Yeah.
Can you do a nice grappa?
Yeah, he didn't know. He came when he was 17, so he doesn't know what grappa is. But I'm surprised you know that. Yeah, I've had that
yeah.
in coffee. Yeah.
I'm a big Italophile, so.
Okay. Yep. They know what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Alan, really appreciate your time with us the last 2 days. It's been fun to learn from you. I guess I'm curious. So first off, with Trail Map, we publish this episode on YouTube and also through Spotify and Apple Podcasts, etc. But I'll put in the show notes the link to 4A so that if people want to try your coffee, they can order some and give it a shot.
That's nice. Yeah.
What blends? Maybe you could spend just a couple minutes talking about like what blends you'd recommend people trying of yours if they're ordering for the first time. Yeah, we could start with that, I guess.
I obviously I would recommend the one that we liked yesterday, the Ethiopia Natural. But I remember when naturals were first really getting on the scene, and I got really excited, probably because it was something different and unusual, and it was also great. But that's not for everybody. And I remember having coffee returned for the first time, and it was actually by a friend. A lot of those people, especially at 4A, became our friends. And she's like, "Oh, I can't drink this." Oh. And she's going to put it on the counter. I said, "Okay, this is another new lesson for me. I got it." So I usually start people with like something more familiar. In our current, we had a great Mexican coffee last year that everyone seemed to love, but we've got a new Peruvian that just came in. I'm about to sample roast it today. It's got a nice score to it. It's got a good story. It's organic. It's got that kind of nutty, creamy body, milk chocolatey flavor to it from the sample they sent me. So I'm going to see if I can get that coffee going on the website real soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to order a pound or 3 here.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a Mary a bag of 4A.
Oh well,
I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
Would he like the Ethiopia?
Pat, do you like what profile do you typically like of coffee? Like, do you like lighter roasts, darker roasts?
I mean, I'm kind of all over the map. I'm sure I'll like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You're easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do you guys grind beans at your house?
Yeah. So here's my approach is I get coffee from the grocery store, like just so we have some. But then when I go on the road, I'm a traveling musician. When I go on the road, I get like local pounds and I bring one home with me. So we're either grinding or not. It's just.
Yep. Yeah, I get you. I like that lifestyle.
Pour over? Or do you have a coffee machine, or what do you do?
We got both. So Avi's wife Danny made me a little pour over thingy, so I like to do that sometimes. Nice. But yeah, we got a coffee pot. Yeah, ceramic thingy. That's and fun. we got presses. We got it all.
Yeah, nice.
All the choice.
Yeah.
Geez, I'm sorry I don't get to meet you in person because I think you're a cool guy. I mean,
likewise.
Your whole MO. Yeah.
I got to come into the shop next time I'm up there.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're here.
Pat's a wonderful guy. Go ahead, Pat.
I just had to ask. I mean, like 4A, like is like the word 4A, but where does the 4A? Does that have another meaning?
Oh boy, I forgot about this. Yeah. Wow, I haven't asked that in a long time. Whew. Okay.
Or if I mean,
no, because my answer, I used to get that question like 100 times a day, and it was my fault. Because I why would you put a letter in a number? You did it to yourself. But I like the question now because, but I always wonder, did they want the short answer or the long answer? I'll give you the medium answer.
Okay.
the medium answer is that we were sitting, and by the way, a name of a company is really hard to
Yeah.
decide on, right?
So hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were sitting there, and my wife is from Kazakhstan, and she's kind of like, they're very I don't want to say superstitious, but they're superstitious. So she loves symbolism and things that tie into your family. And we went through a million names. We were living in apartment 4A on Babcock Street. Oh my
Oh,
God.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's my
So it was
street.
122 Babcock Street. It was
Oh, so really
4A,
close
the
up.
apartment we were living in. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we were going through names, and I said this and that and this and that. And then, so the people in our family, there were four of us at the time. It was before we had our youngest. Akar K is my wife's name, Alan, Ayan, and Alwa. And our number was 4A. And I remember Jerry Seinfeld lived in 5A. So I was like, 4A coffee, 4A coffee. She's like, yes. And I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. It was kidding. No, she's like, no, that has to be it. And I was like, oh crap, what did I just do? So I couldn't get that out of her head. She's like, 4A is the name. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
And then, so I was like, all right, I can't tell everyone that story every time they ask. I can't, I'm no Matt Gregory, but I know something about branding, and I'm like, I can't put that. So I was like, 4A means coffee from the four continents: Africa, Asia, the Americas, and what's the other one? Africa, Asia, yeah.
Australia.
Yeah. No, sorry, it was North and South America, Africa, and Asia.
Yeah.
Australia doesn't really grow any
Right.
coffee commercially. So, and then, so that was it. But, yeah, that's the meaning of 4A coffee.
That's a great etymology.
So I'm wondering, as a maybe a last question here, like what's next for you with 4A? Like, is your plan to just continue to try to build it, and grow it? Like, do you have any thoughts about what you want to do next, with the business
Yeah.
that you can share?
Yeah, exactly. Initially, I thought that we were going to have an opportunity to, like, the delivery in these areas, local fresh coffee delivery is something that I really wanted to do. And I want that to grow a little bit more, but I also wanted to get into equipment service. I have some Ukrainian friends and people I've known over the years. One of them, he's a guy who came over about 15 years ago, before all this went on, and I call him MacGyver because he saved my life. He can fix anything with his eyes closed in a minute. He's just gold. And unfortunately, his brother, who's in his 40s, he's got a family. He had a farm there. He had to leave the Ukraine a little over a year ago, I believe. And I've met him, and he's helped me out. And I wanted to do some equipment service because that's a huge issue. I know when I had problems with some of my equipment, to get someone out there who is good and timely. And so, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, how to implement that, with him. He's starting to get his status squared away. So
That's cool.
we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Like servicing the trade, like cafes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Appliances need to be serviced, and it's
Yeah. Fixed.
we're
Yeah.
thinking about this with our dryer, with our like clothes dryer. Like, doesn't work as well.
Been there.
Yeah,
It's kind of the rarer appliance that can be serviced these days.
Yeah.
it is. They're mostly designed to throw away. So
Yeah.
Well, sorry, we could talk about this another time, but I've been in your situation. You get that fancy new refrigerator, and all of a sudden it's not working, and you're calling A&E Repair, and they charge you $75 to drive in, 75, and they don't know what they're doing, and you just like ripping your hair out. I think we've all had horror stories like that. Yeah.
I quickly. Somehow we put our refrigerator into demo mode
Okay.
a couple of years ago, which is cooling shuts off, and basically just the light works. It's like the showroom thing. So We
You had
didn't
no
know
idea.
we didn't know we had
Yeah,
done
yeah,
this.
yeah,
So it had the fridge has two digital displays.
yeah.
One says 0 and the other says 0F. We didn't realize that if you read the zeros as O's, it said off.
Oh,
Um, uh, and
Or oof.
we
yeah,
uh, we were like, oh God, we're gonna get this fixed. And so it took we got the repair guy to come. He's like, oh, you have an issue with the fan. Like this is a fan error code.
yep,
And he orders a new fan.
yep,
And we're like, oh, we don't have a fridge. We got to get a new fridge. So
yep.
we bought a cheap fridge.
Oh,
And then he he comes back. He puts the new fan in. Doesn't do anything. And then he's like, I'm going to get my manager to come out. And the manager comes out. This is like 6 weeks. Manager comes out. He's like, let me try one thing. And he presses two buttons and the show remote
oh
goes
God.
off.
Oh God.
It comes back on.
Oh
And we're
God.
like, oh my God.
Matt, as I said at the top, turning it off and turning it on again is still number one in IT.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way to fix it.
Yeah,
So,
when you call service and they said, "Have you tried turning it off?" Of course, I tried turning it off and on. I'm not
yeah.
stupid. Oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Maybe I didn't.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All
Alan,
right.
thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time, man. And yeah, happy to continue to support what you're
Yeah.
doing. I love your business. So
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
All
God,
right.
God bless you. Keep in touch and
Thank you.
good luck with the podcast.
All right.
Great.
See ya.
Talk
Thanks.
soon.
Great.
Yep.
Well, that was fun. Great to chat with Alan.
That was awesome. I can't wait to. I mean, if you do listen, you don't have to send me a pound of coffee, but if you do, I will relish it, and then I will also relish the opportunity next time I make it up there. We got all these people that I got to like go see. Like, we got to see
Yeah, I
Chris.
think
Got to see Chris. Got to see Alan. Got to follow up with all these these great guests we've had.
Yeah, I think maybe well, Chris had suggested doing like a virtual reunion of all the trail map guests.
All together?
Yeah.
We could do a cupping together.
Which I think would be kind of fun.
That would be yeah.
And maybe doing it virtual is more realistic than
Right.
trying to get everybody together in
It
person.
would be fun. It would be
having
fun to do it in an actual like a bar somewhere if we could ever swing that. But,
Yeah,
you know,
having it in
Boston,
person would be really fun.
like, you know, the alumni events in like a certain city, and it's like,
Yeah.
anybody in the New York area, come by.
Yeah, and like the people are it's just a phenomenal group of people. So
Yeah.
that'd be really fun.
I have two thoughts. I have two jokes that I need to follow up on
Yeah.
that I didn't want to waste his time with. He was saying how getting into coffee in the 90s, like, it was nice because nobody knew anything about coffee. And then in the 2000s and 2010s, everybody thought it was saturated. Everybody thought they knew everything. To my mind, very similar, parallel even to the trajectory of being a Red Sox fan, where you were legit if you had been with them for the 20th century, never winning.
Right.
As soon as 2004 rolls along, everybody's wearing a pink Red Sox hat from here to Arizona.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
there was still a huge amount of loyalty for the Red Sox beyond Boston, even before they got good again.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I think I one time saw I think it was Facebook data of like, what's your favorite team? And it's like Red Sox and Yankees are kind of like everywhere. Well, that is true. But still, there's that you were in that or you won't. After 2004, 2007, it blew up. Everybody's just like, whoa, Red Sox. Whoa. But if you were in before, you know that you're legit.
Yeah.
And that these people are charlatans.
OG.
Yeah.
OG.
Same thing with music. Music in the 90s was cool, and then it sucked in the 2000s, 2010s.
So what's the through line here? I feel like
the 90s were cool.
I think the internet's ruined it all. Ruined us.
Yeah. It's ruined us.
We've gotten too demanding. So.
Everything has two sides to it, Matt.
I know.
Everything.
I know.
Even coffee. It's a dynamic balance of good and evil. Oh, and then my other joke, what was it? Shit, that was one.
You should never feel like you can't share a joke, Pat.
No. I just thank you for that.
Don't self-edit your jokes. I can edit your jokes. in post-production.
I will edit your jokes for you. There was another one that I was keeping, and now it's gone, and I'm going to think of it later in the day.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we can edit it in post.
Yeah, we can edit it.
Cool, man. Well, I hope you and your family have a wonderful weekend, and fun to chat with Alan today. And yeah, be well.
You too. Yeah, you guys have a great weekend too.
All right. See you, Pat.
Later.
Trail Map is hosted by Matt Gregory and Patrick Direwolf. Editing and production by Matt Gregory. Music by Patrick Direwolf. Animation direction by Hati Nguyen and Nana Teja Paibel.